should be investing your way to wealth, not working your way to wealth. And the let your money do the work for you. Now, you all on this call believe in that, or you wouldn't be on this call. You're associated with Stephen and Chris because that's their philosophy too. And it could be using cash value out of life insurance so that you can use that to loan out to other people, make a higher interest rate than the interest you're paying on that money. That's arbitrage, and that works. It's it doesn't work so good in the stock market where you borrow money to put it in the stocks because invariably, if it goes down, you get a margin call, and that's not good. So, what are the safe ways? The safest way historically has always been precious metals. It's what some people, including Robert Kiyosaki, call God's money. And the dollar bill is literally a piece of paper with ink on it that says it's worth $100. The Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, and ever since then, okay, for the last 50 years, you have not had your dollar backed by anything except the word of the government. And the government's word has been good up until recently, when all of a sudden the dollar is crashing against world currencies because everybody's losing faith. Now, I still think we're the greatest country in the world. I don't think our dollar is going to like go to zero instantly, but you can see the trend, and the trend is astonishingly bad. Since the Federal Reserve was created, the dollar has lost 99% of its buying power. And that is a scary, scary, scary thing to say. In other words, it would take 100 times more money now than it did 100 years ago to buy something, and that's just a fact. But gold and silver in that time, it takes the same amount of gold and silver to buy that same thing it did 100 years ago. So it's not losing its value. And let's talk about it from a defensive strategy. The bullion coins that we were talking about. This is on this hand is silver eagle, U.S. currency. This is a bullion coin from Vienna or Austria, and this is the Austrian dollar or coin. It's a gold piece, 1 ounce, and it's worth what an ounce of gold is worth. This is 1 ounce of silver, and it's worth what 1 ounce of silver is worth. And as long as the value of gold and silver keep going up as they historically have, that you can't lose. Whereas the dollar has historically gone down. So this is bullion. Now, bullion doesn't come just in 1 ounce size. This is a half ounce of gold bullion. This is a half ounce of silver bullion. This is what you call a silver round. It has no monetary value. It's just got a little pattern on the back. Here is a half ounce of a different coin, even though it's got the queen on it. Yay. The difference is it's still worth a half ounce of silver. This is a 1 ounce gold bar. You know, you're used to seeing these giant bars. Tony held up, and I can't be shown up on camera. I have one too. Okay, and so there's a big difference between 1 ounce. By the way, these are worth this 100 ounces of silver is worth a little more than this 1 ounce of gold. But you can also buy silver in 5 ounces. Here's a Apmex 5 ounce bar. Here is a 10 ounce silver bar, and I have it in wrapping so it stays nice and shiny. But that these are bullion. All these things that I'm showing you are bullion. What is important about bullion? You can always go into any coin dealer or buyer and sell it for at least what they call spot price. With 7K metals, we pay above spot if somebody wants to sell their metal. Above. I want to be really clear about this. If the spot price for a silver eagle is, let's say, $39 to buy one, if you went to a coin dealer and tried to sell it back, they're going to give you 20. They're going to give you half as much as what this is worth. But if you sold it back to 7K and you bought it for 39, you can get 32 back. Now, granted, there's a $7 spread, but the fact is $32 is like $10 above spot. Hence, you're getting way more money than you ever would. So it's liquid. These can be held by you in person, they can ship them to you, or you can have them stored in a vault, a private, secured, 24-hour manned, armed guard vault with 4 layers of security, and everything is accounted for on a weekly basis. The metal is stored there and it's liquid. So you can have it pulled out and shipped to you anytime you want, or you can have it pulled out and sell it. And if you sold it, you can have the cash shipped right into your bank account. This is done with an electronic wallet. It is something really, really cool. But bottom line is this: when the dollar goes down in value, gold and silver go up in value. Always have, always will, and will never stop. The reason is simple. It's that the dollar is losing its value, hence it takes more of them to buy the gold and silver, and that's why when the dollar is going down with high interest, gold and silver go up. Now, that having been said, it's a very defensive strategy because instead of, let's say had a mobile home park like my friend Jason does. He has a mobile home park of several of them that he invests in, but he would have repair funds and slush money sitting in the bank to be used for the investment purposes. The problem is, while it's sitting in the bank, it's losing money. So he decided it would be better to convert it into gold and silver bullion so that it's going up while the dollar is going down. And then if he ever needs the cash, you just convert it back to dollars, take the cash back out, but you get more when you convert it back. Now, that's a defensive strategy, but you cannot win in the game of investing with just good defense. You need something called an offense. Now, what is offense? Offense is when you leverage your money. Leverage your money means by putting in a little, you get a lot of a result. This happens with numismatic, or a fancy word for collectible. A collectible coin is like this. This is 1 ounce of silver. It's a George Washington coin, and it has colorization, but that colorization does not hurt the coin value. In fact, it helps the coin value because it's such a rare process. Tony's holding up another one. And these things we get on a monthly basis. So what we do is we balance a defensive and an offensive strategy by being able to buy as little or as much bullion as you want 24/7. And that includes after the market's closed, which most people online don't do. And you can literally collect collectibles. And if you wanted to, you could sell them at any time. I'll talk more about that in a couple minutes. But for right now, I want to get Tony back up here to show you what the value and what you can do with doing a combination of offense and defense, and then segue into, oh yeah, I wanted you to show some of these coins. Tony, take it away.
All right. Well, this is one of my favorite. One of the values of having a membership with 7K is that you get access to some very rare, exclusive coins that are only being released through our company. And this is one of my favorite. I collected several months ago. This is the Benjamin Franklin 5 ounce coin. There's only 776 of these coins on the planet. Okay. One of the good things about, for those of you who may have concern about playing the collectible game, uh, like most people do, because there's not a lot of people that understand that concept. The beautiful thing about the membership of 7K is that there is a buyer certification, there's a collector's training that will educate you on what the most successful people buy to leverage their income to the fullest. And one of the things you'll learn from that education is that one of the things that affects the value of a collectible coin more so than anything else is how many of them are minted. The lower the mintage affects the value of that coin. You heard, the second thing that affects it is the condition of the coin. An MS70 or PF70 is the highest rate that that coin can get. If As far as the grading system, as far as the coins, and this is another thing you'll learn from the buyer certification collectors training. Coins are graded on what is called a Sheldon scale, which goes from 1 to 7. So in 1949, that was a numismatist, and that's a fancy name for a person that grades coins or currency. That was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Sheldon who created what is known today in the coin world, the Sheldon scale, which goes from 1 to 7. 1 means a coin is unrecognizable, something that you ran over with a car in the parking lot. And 70 means that coin is absolutely perfect. There are no flaws. how they get to this 70 rating. They look at a coin like this. First of all, it never touches a human hand unless it has a special glove on. And then they look at it under 5 times magnification. If there are no smears, no dings, no dents, they encapsulate it. It's sonically sealed like this, and then they with a barcode, and then they put a rating on that. And if it's rated a 70, about 5% of all the coins ever minted will have a 70 rating. If a coin is rare, meaning the lower the mintage, and it's considered low mintage if it's 10,000 or less. So the lower the mintage and the condition of the coin affects it more so than anything else. And here's a coin, this Benjamin Franklin coin, 5 ounces, only 776 of them in the world. I paid, I think, like $650 for this coin, and it's already being sold online today for $1,500, $2,000 and stuff. And that's in within less than 6 months' time. So just to for you to understand the value of the collectible game. I mean, there are people that are seeing returns sometime the very same week they buy the coin. So that's one of the things I love about it. Scott just gave you that's a nice one. The stats a little bit. Scott just gave you an example as far as how the silver eagle. That's probably the most famous story as far as how it increased in value. If you would have bought one collectible MS-70 a month from 1986 until now, you would have had about $40,000 to $50,000 out of pocket, but that collection today will be worth $1.6 million. Now, keep in mind now the silver eagle is the most popular 1 ounce silver coin in the world. Now, for a collection of silver eagles, and the mint makes 4 to 47 million of those coins every single year. If a collection containing those was able to grow to 1.6 million, what do you think will happen for coins that there's less than 1,000 of them being minted? So I just want you to understand the magnitude, and being designed by one of the top coin graders in the world, Mr. Miles Standish, who was in the Guinness Book of World Record for 2 reasons: for grading the most coins of anybody on the planet. He's graded over 10 million coins in his uh, grading career. And at one point, he graded the coin that sold for the most. He graded a coin that sold for over $10 million. So this guy designed them and releasing them exclusively through our company. And so you get a chance to collect these coins, to be able to collect it based upon what you can afford, and to see the kind of return that individuals have seen. I mean, that was an individual that just flipped them last year and made over $60,000 by buying coins and flipping them within the same week. So I want you to understand that collectible game is one of the fastest ways to basically grow your wealth in a very short period of time.
Whether it's 100 grand or whether it's $100, if you convert it to metals, the question is, how do you go buy 12 eggs for a bar of silver, okay, or a coin or a silver dollar, something like that? How do you do it? If I collect a silver bar and something like this, I keep it in a little plastic so it stays nice and shiny. But you can't walk up to a vendor and just hand them the silver bar. It just doesn't. They're not equipped for that. They're not. They don't know what to do, and it's really hard to turn these back when you have them in your physical possession, turn them back into cash. But if you have it in a private vault that's liquid, you can instantly press a button. We do that with this company called 7K, and it's the only one I know of that does that. And they pay the highest dollars back to you when you convert from your metal to dollars, and then it goes right out to wherever you want. You can go to your bank account, you can pay some other person. There's a lot of different options for you.
But I remember I began to start protecting my wealth back in 2008 when a friend of mine just gave me a phone call and said, listen, I don't know if you understand what's happening with the dollar, but I'm talking to all the people I love and respect, and say you need to be protecting it with precious metals. And so I started buying silver eagles back in 2008, like $500 worth every other month. And that's how I initially started acquiring precious metals. And then when I got involved in what Scott's going to be talking about in just a little bit, the leverage then comes from the networking aspect of it. Then I began to learn that's 2 sides to that story as far as precious metals. That's the defense part of it. And I think we all know, as far as life is concerned, as far as business is concerned, We're never going to get ahead if all we do is just play defense. But bullion, that's what that is. I mean, this is a 100-ounce silver bar. You know, this protects my wealth. Historically, this is as inflation rises, so does the value of physical gold and silver. You know, I named this when I call this some Big Bertha. You know, I mean, we kind of hung out for a while. You know, and so bullion is a defense. It's a way to protect your wealth. You know, but the growing aspect of it, how you multiply and how you basically explode your wealth, is the collectible side of it. And they say in America, 90% of Americans collect something. And the thing I love about the company 7K Metals is that how would you like to collect an asset every single month that will always have value? So it's like Christmas several times a month, to be able to purchase something and within a month's time to have it, see it double and sometimes triple in value is nothing short of amazing. And the thing I love about it through this company is that it makes it affordable. You know, like a Sam's Club, like a Costco. That membership affords you the ability to buy as little as you want, as much as you want, whenever you want, and you get a chance to put your wealth on autopilot. And I love that about this company, 7K Mouse. Back to you, Scott.
Absolutely right. And I want to expand a little bit on collectibles because, frankly, most people don't understand it. If you're talking about fine art, you thinking of paintings in the museums or lent from private collectors to museums. Those things are tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, and um, most people just don't have that. I say most, almost everybody doesn't have that. And then you have like collector cards, like baseball cards. You know, I've been a big baseball card collector, and I always found that when they're just like this isn't one, but it's just a card. When it could have beat up corners, it could be not perfect, and when they're not perfect, then collectors don't want them. What they want is perfection. And that is something in the coin collecting world called MS70. Okay. Um, Hi, Colleen. I couldn't help but read your comment. Uh, I hope everybody buys your art and everybody, makes a gazillion dollars from holding your paintings. I think what I really want to make clear is in the coin world, most people don't understand what a truly collectible coin is and how little they could be gotten for, and what they can go up to. Um, the I started collecting coins in 1987 when my daughter was born, and I bought these proof sets from the U.S. Mint, and I'll bet you guys have seen them. They have like a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter, and they're all in proof form. Those coins are worth today about what I paid for them back 35 years ago, and the reason is that these collectibles are not really collectible. Why? Because there are too many made. These proof sets from the government mint, they print in the millions, if not billions, and they're not rare. So I went into a coin dealer with the 1987 collection I bought when my daughter was born. I figured these are going to go up in value. They're going to be rare, blah, blah, and I'm going to sell them and then give my daughter the money. That kind of thing. Well, the first time that happened was when she got married about 7 years ago, and they hadn't risen at all. In fact, the coin dealers that I went to two different ones. They wanted to pay me less for the sets than I paid for them in 1987. I said, "What do you mean? They can't go down." And they go, these are there are a million of them out there. I got to make a profit, so if I can't sell them unless I buy them cheaper from you. And this is the game they play. Um, but if something is rare, there's one of them, there's 100 of them, there's 1,000 of them, even 10,000. If there's a million collectors and there's only 10,000 available in perfect condition, then you're going to get a premium for them way above the bullion content. And that is the story I want to tell. If you're trying to protect your wealth, you buy bullion because you can always sell it down the road and it will be worth more than the dollar. If you want offensive leverage, that means buy something cheap, sell it high. And the coins go up about 5 to 8 times faster than bullion do if they're perfect and low mintage and graded MS70. I have a few on my desk. This one happens to be a Black Panther. It's a special silver coin. It's 5 ounces. I paid a lot of money for it. I paid like $900. But these things, and that was last month, or actually 3 weeks ago, and it is now selling for about $1,500. And that's a pretty good return on investment. I could turn right around and get $1,500 for this today. Now, how liquid are they? Can you walk into a store? Can you walk into a store, a coin shop, and just say, "Here, I want to sell my coins"? And the answer is yes, but they will give you a lower price. But there are third-party sites like Amazon, like what you call it, eBay, and there's another one that we use called Stack and Sell, which is it scours the market for actual sales that happened, and then it tells you a market price, and then people can list their coins for sale, and if they price it at the market price or slightly lower, they're going to sell it in seconds. A friend of mine sold one of these Black Panther coins in literally 30 seconds. He had two of them, and he tried to sell one. He listed it for a low price below the market price by $50, and it was snapped up in 30 seconds. And the reason that happens is people put watch lists together, and then on these watch lists, then they are able to be notified when somebody puts a coin up for sale that they want, or the price drops on something they're watching. And so when this coin came up for lower than the market, it sold instantly. And the reason I'm telling you all this is to educate you on the fact you can be very liquid with bullion and collectibles if you are part of this membership that Tony and I are in. And of course, Stephen Nagy's in it too. Chris Nagel's in it, a member, because that allows you these tools and the ability to be the first kid on the block to own these kind of coins. And they come in all sizes. This is a George Washington series coin. It came before the Lincoln that Tony showed you, and they sold out. And
Yeah, don't get me started on the coin drop, Scott. I freaking log in 2 minutes late and everything's gone already. So I'm setting timers now where I'm there because it's BS in my opinion. But
that's exactly what I was talking about. You do feel like you're winning the lottery when you get those, and you are, because you're literally giving yourself a chance to print money thanks to having a membership. And nobody else in the world can do this. So this gives you kind of a big head start, and setting your timer does help. There is an optional aspect to get paid to refer other members. So let's make this very transparent. Stephen is part of our team. Stephen will get the ability to make a little bit of money as a referral fee for any new members. And so will I, so will Tony, and so forth. But that doesn't change the membership fee. The membership fee is exactly the same regardless, and so whether they're paying commission or not. And if you had bought one Silver Eagle every single month since 1986, you'd have 430 something of them or something like that by now. And at today's price, that would be worth about $13,000. So had you been on a savings plan monthly where you were just putting a little bit of your cash dollars that are losing value into silver that's holding value, you'd have about $13,000 right now sitting in front of you with all of those coins. However, had you, instead of buying bullion, bought a graded MS70 coin, I'm talking about in a slab like this, graded MS70, then you bought one of those every month, you would have invested about $50,000. That's just a fact, because I told you it had a higher premium for MS70s, okay? Now, that would have been about, if you divide it by 36 years, it comes out to something like $115 a month, okay? Had you put in $115 a month for the last 36 years, instead of having 10,000 or $13,000 worth of bullion, what you would have is all those 400 and some odd MS-70 Eagles dating all the way back to the mid 80s. They would be worth right now for sale $1,600,000.
So we need to have our money in places, but we can't let it sit in cash. So that's where, to me, precious metals really comes into play, because it allows us to easily move, especially 7K, which we'll talk about in a second. This company that we're buying, everyone on here right now is buying gold and silver from 7K metals. And the reason we're doing it is because they make it very, very easy. The silver I buy, I don't even have to ship it to my house. I keep it in my Sound Money wallet, just like my PayPal account, just like my crypto trading account. Except for precious metals, it's called a Sound Money wallet. So they make it very easy. But I also buy collectibles. So what I keep in the Sound Money wallet is what we consider a defensive strategy. So this is something that's going to defend against inflation. It's going to defend against what's going on in the economy right now, and it's going to keep my wealth high as we go. But I don't want to just play defensive. I also want to play offensive. And so, like those coins I was showing you a second ago behind me, and I was just showing you right there, this is what we call MS-70 graded collectible coins. And these coins have the potential to go way up in value very, very quickly. You know, defensive like bullion and silver eagles and things like that are going to slowly go up historically, right? And beat inflation. But these collectibles are going to be that play that's going to make you a little bit more money a little bit quicker than that long-term play. And that's where it becomes fun. And you start learning about different, mints, and you start learning about, hey, there's only 500 of these things made in the world. And then they have collections, and it just becomes a lot of fun. And that's the basics around what 7K is. It's why I why I seeked out 7K. I interviewed probably a half a dozen different precious metals companies and dealers and people that play in that industry. And I finally settled on 7K because the support team is like no other, with Scott, with Jesse, with Tony, with Leland, with the Eagles group. It's amazing what they've done. And any questions you have, any support. I mean, I see Scott literally responding to students, that's an old industry term, responding to our clients and our tribe and our members and things like that, late at night. Like I see Claire on here right now. Claire had some challenges. We worked with Claire over a week, and we ended up, getting it all fixed for her. So there's always somebody there to help you, but more importantly, explain to you the right type of silver or gold you should be buying, how to set that up on a monthly basis so you can just dollar cost average stuff. So we're right there to help you. And then it goes beyond that even. And that's what Scott alluded to earlier a little bit, and why we call this not only precious metals, but also business building with precious metals. Because if you start like showing off your collection of silver, and you start like saying, hey, I'm trading in my worthless dollars for actual hard assets in precious metals, people are going to ask you, well, how are you doing that? Like, where do I go buy that? And if you tell them, hey, all you do is just go talk to Scott, sign up just like you would at Costco or Amazon for this membership-based company. It's only members can buy at these wholesale prices through 7K. So go sign up for it. Well, if you're going to refer them to 7K, why not get paid for it? So there's a business aspect to this where you can get referral commission just for sending people over to them. So it's kind of a win-win situation where you're able to build wealth while simultaneously building a side business for yourself. And if COVID taught you nothing else, it's the importance of multiple streams of income, because your job can go away just like that. Your salary can be cut just like that. But if that happens, but you have other money coming in from things like private lending, through things like this business right here, through things like real estate investing, then you're not hurt as bad financially, and it's not financial ruin for you when you have other income coming in that can at least make you get by until you can get back on your feet for your primary gig. And who knows, maybe it turns into a full-time thing. I mean, Tony was on with us last week and the previous week and talked about how he was in corporate America and got into network marketing and fell out of it and went back to corporate America. And now he's been back in, this industry for 10 years, and he's killing it, like doing an amazing job, and he loves his life now. So to me, it's just a beautiful thing from the very beginning to end, and every aspect of it. So
let's go through a little history lesson for people who are brand new to this whole precious metals idea. Let me make sure that you understand that gold and silver have been money forever. Thousands of years has been traded for goods and services. That is how it came about. Paper money is a more modern historical thing, really. And any culture that really gets money right backs their paper money with precious metals. And in fact, the United States did this all the way up to 1971 when Nixon took us off of the gold standard. When that happened, then there was nothing backing the US dollar except the word of the government. And because of that, we had already established the US dollar as the world's currency basis. So everything based off of the US dollar. And that still, for the most part, is true, except now it's changing drastically with Russia dropping all ties to the US because we seized hundreds of billions of their dollars in US banks. And they said, well, we're never doing anything ever again in US dollars. Then China followed along. And, they're trying to put pressure on OPEC to, this is one of the reveals that I have for you all today on the call that a lot of you don't even know is happening. And you can look it up. Everything I say, you can go Google and find it to be true. Is that they're putting pressure on OPEC, which is dollar based. All oil in the world and coming through all of OPEC is based on the US dollar. However, Russia is the second largest exporter of oil, and so aside from OPEC, and they are trying to put pressure on them to say stop taking the US dollar. Let's make it a ruble. And they are backing their ruble with gold now. And the US is not stupid. Well, maybe sometimes they are, but every now and then they get their act together. And here's the other news flash that most people on this call don't know is a fact, is that the US government has always bought gold to keep in reserves. I mean, you all have heard of Fort Knox. You've all heard of the U.S. Reserve and the Treasury. These keep gold based on all the money that was in circulation up to 1971, because prior to 71, it still had to be backed. So they still needed to keep that gold, but they stopped buying more. And the purchase of gold has gone way down. And then come COVID, 2020, the US government put multi-trillions of dollars of money out of thin air for all of the aid and all of the support and all of the things that we had to do to get past. But because of that, the US dollar has been losing value because it's getting diluted by the trillions and trillions of new dollars going in the economy. A friend of mine likes to say that the government must have lost its mind in 2020 because more money was added to the M1 money supply, which is a measure of how much the government prints to what's in circulation. More money was added in just 2020 than had ever been added in the history of this company since its founding 250 years ago. It's insane. And someone has to pay the piper for that. And who is? Anybody who drives a car that isn't electric. Anybody who pays for gas, anybody who pays for groceries, anybody who pays for clothes, anybody who pays for airfare, you name it, it is skyrocketing high. And it's not just because it costs more for those things, it's because the dollar that's buying those things is worth less. Hence, it takes more dollars to buy those things. And that's why the prices are going up. Here we go. Let's look at the one on the right. That's silver. And I did 1 year history, okay? Now, I enrolled in as a member in 7K in the beginning of December, and silver was right about $22, where I'm holding this little arrow right now, okay? So right at 22. Then it started rising and creeping up to 24. And then it popped back down a little bit in a few days, and then it started creeping up really good for a matter of weeks, up until about $25, $26. And then it just hung around there for around 25 for a while. And then the short sellers in the stock market started selling it short and dropped it all the way down to 22 again, or 20, I mean, from 25. That's a 20% drop in just a few days. And that's what Wall Street is doing to you. But look, it's kind of consolidated again back here around 22. So we're back where we were 6 months ago. And here's my point. Silver had been going down because the economy had been not great, not hot and all that. And this is just 1 year. I could go back 5 years and you'd see an overall trend up, but this is just short term. This is the point I'm trying to make right here. We have an opportunity of buying silver at the lowest price it's been for a long, long time. And what if the Fed, and that's what I was going to tell you, the other secret, has started buying gold to back up the dollars that they're printing, and they can't begin to, but they're buying more. They bought in the last 2 months more gold than they have in the last 20 years to store. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you the government knows it's going to need gold because the dollar is losing value. And if the government knows they need to be buying gold and silver, what do you think you should be doing? The answer is buying gold and silver. And if you just look at this 6 month chart, going back to when I came in here, gold was around 1780 and it peaked up here around $2,000 on March 8th. Then it popped down to a new base, and then it's been slowly trending down. Why? Wall Street manipulating the prices again. So the moral of this story is here we're sitting close to about 1850 right now, and gold had historically hit over 4,000 before. So when this summer run up starts happening, and you can see we're at a valley, so guess what always happens? Another run up, because you can see plateau, down, goes up, plateau, but it always seems to be higher than the last peak. Do you see what's going on? These old peaks here, less than a year ago, we're sitting around 1800, and now we're sitting around 1850. So our new plateau is higher than the old peak. And the same thing happens here for silver. And so these precious metals are going up, and the government is buying them. And my point is that the government is doing it. If Russia's doing it, if China's doing it, why don't you do it? So I hope that I get my point across there. Now, why do you think Fort Knox is so resistant to being audited, Cindy asked. And I think that is the greatest question I've ever heard. The reason is because, I'll tell you the reason they give, but the real reason is the money's not there anymore. That's just my 2 cents. I don't call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think it's there in Fort Knox anymore. I think they've moved it to the National Reserve, the Treasury. And I do believe that that's one of the reasons. But even if it was still sitting there, they wouldn't want it open because that tells you how much assets the government has. And the biggest reason, and if they learned that there wasn't enough assets to cover the dollars, every faith in the dollar would collapse and we would be garbage in world history. And speaking of garbage in world history, you all remember about the Deutschmarks and how those things dropped to where it took 1 trillion of them to equal one in the past. So long story short, people would buy a loaf of bread with a wheelbarrow full of marks. And paper money was falling in the streets because it wasn't worth anything anymore. You couldn't wipe your butt with it. And I'm sorry if I'm being too gross for you, but you get my gist. So I do think that it's like it would be like revealing that the emperor had no clothes. And that is why the government has been recently buying so much gold and silver. Claire asked a question, Stephen, that you'd like to answer live. So why don't you do that real quick?
Yeah, I figure we could talk about it. So just the difference in PF70 and MS70.
It's almost identical.
Which is better to accrue, if any?
No, I'll be happy to answer that if you want. The MS70 and PF70, a PF means proof, and a proof is a shinier version of an MS70. MS means mint state, but 70 means perfect. So ideally, there's really not a whole lot of value difference between a proof 70 and MS70. There is a big difference between proof 69 or MS69. Those are not worth as much as 70s are because collectors want perfection. They don't want the Mona Lisa with a mustache painted on her. Okay, they don't want a Spider-Man comic book with you adding webs to the art. So again, you want it perfect and pristine. And so that is the difference. And I'm going to cover more about collectible coins in a few minutes when I say how they relate to bullion. Okay. So let me take that one back to going back. We're looking at bullion here on my screen. So let's talk for a minute about the different forms of metal. You have bullion format and you have collectible format. The bullion format are things like American Eagles, um, gold and silver rounds, bars. As a matter of fact, let me put my picture, my screen back on, and let me just show you bullion. This is an example of a 20 tube. It's a tube of 20 silver eagles. The silver eagles, I have one in a little plastic holder just to protect it, but that's what they look like. So there's 20 of them in here. And I can take them out, I can shake them, I can put them in my hand. These are just bullion. You can hold them, you can take it out of the plastic, you do whatever you want. They come in all shapes and sizes. Here is a ½ ounce bullion with a nice picture of an ox on it, but that's only half an ounce. So this on the market, a silver eagle is selling for close to $40. Okay, um, and that's the price people are charging for you to obtain them. And then there's other forms of it, like bars. And let me just grab a couple here. This is a silver bar, happens to be 5 ounces. So it literally is worth 5 times as much as this. But because it's not an eagle, you get a discount on these compared to eagles. Eagles are the #1 traded coin on the planet Earth. So they are by far and away more desirable. So the premium per ounce is higher. And that's why they're a little bit more expensive than, say, a bar. But that's a 5 ounce bar. Here is a 10 ounce bar. You would think this would be twice as much as its little baby brother. But it's just slightly less than twice as much because the bigger the bars, you get a little break on the per ounce price that you can buy it for. Here is a 100 ounce bar. You can see where it says 100 ounce right there. Okay, that is like 7 pounds or something. It's very, very hefty. Just divide 100 by 16 and you'll find out how many pounds it is. But and don't even ask me to do that. I'm sure Jason will have it in 30 seconds. But anyway, I have these, and they come in different forms. This is a form made by a company called JBR, and this is one by a company called Engelhard. I have this one wrapped in cellophane to keep the beautiful silver shininess. This is already getting a little air tarnish on it, but so be it. And people collect these. I keep them. I've had them for years. This one I just got recently, but the other one I've had for like 8, 9, 10 years, and it's done nothing but go up in value. So those are bullion, and gold comes in bullion also. You can buy a ½ ounce round piece of gold. You could buy a 1 ounce bar. This I got from 7K Metals at great discount. You can get a 1 ounce coin. This is a bullion coin. I just have it in a little holder. And you can also buy bars of them if you wanted to as well. Obviously, it's hard to walk up to somebody and take it, say, "Will you take my gold bar in trade?" You know, they don't know what to do with it, or they'd have to melt it down or sell it to somebody else at a discount. But with 7K Metals, what Steve was talking about earlier is we have a vault, and if you buy Eagles, U.S. Eagles, like these, you can keep them in the vault for free, and then you can trade them 24/7 back and forth. If you want cash, you could sell 1 or 2 or 3, 4 ounces. Listen, I was talking to a member recently, or a potential member, who was really worried about the fact that she was on this very show last week, and she was thinking she didn't have enough money to play in the game. And I want to point something out. It's a fallacy. It's a mistake. People have for years and years and years believed you had to be super uber wealthy. I mean, just because governments and banks and corporations can buy billions of dollars worth of bullion doesn't mean you as an individual have to have tons and tons of money. You really don't. Okay? So I really want to make sure that we're clear about is we allow people to buy fractions of eagles because they have millions of dollars stored in the vault, and they're called non-segregated, meaning you have a separate accounting for yours, but an auditor keeps track of that. But if you wanted to buy, let's say silver, I mean, I'll take gold. Let's say it's $2,000 an ounce, and you only had $200. You could buy $200 worth of gold bullion in the form of eagles that are sitting in the vault. So you don't need to buy a whole ounce. You can buy 100th or 10th of an ounce. You want to spend $20, you get 100th of an eagle. And if you want to convert that back to $20 cash, you sell your 100th of an eagle and they will give you cash for it. And the buyback prices are above spot. So they're the best on the planet. So there are lots of different forms of metals, and bullion is just really good to convert back and forth. But there's another one called collectibles. Collectibles are like those special comic books that are graded, and they're placed in holders that can't be hurt with water, or they can still burn, of course. But you know, these collectibles have been independently verified as accurate, as authentic, non counterfeit, and those are what collectors buy, and they pay a fortune. Mickey Mantle card just last year in mint condition sold for $5.6 million. When the card came out, it wasn't even worth a penny. And the whole point is it's cardboard. It's just paper. Why is it worth $5.6 million? It's worth it because that's what people are willing to pay. And why are they willing to pay? Because it's rare. It's unique. It is low mintage or low printage, if you will. In coins, I'm used to saying mintage. But we have coins that are anything less than 10,000 in the universe of a given kind of coin is very rare. 5,000, almost impossible. 1,000 or less is tremendously valuable, and they have premiums. And I'm going to show you a different example. This is an elf. This is an elfin coin, and I got this on a site called Stack and Sell. It's a PF70. It's proof. Very shiny. It's got a picture of a nice elf on there. If you guys are all into sci-fi like me, you dig it. This thing has gone up double in price in less than a year. So that's just an example of a collectible coin. I'm going to show you one here that I got for $850. This is a panther, a black panther. Look at those eyes. Ooh, doggy. They stare right through you. Anyway, that black panther I bought for $850. It's a 5-ounce coin, okay, of silver. But it's black because they did a special process that doesn't hurt the silver, and it helps with the artistic value. So there's only 888 of these in the whole world ever printed and minted, and less of them are in the PF70 state. Perfect. These coins have sold recently for $1,500. When a friend of mine named Greg, he bought one for $850 and he sold it for $1,450. He pocketed a $600 profit, and let me tell you, the process of selling it took 30 seconds. He clicked list it and it's sold. Somebody said your coin is just sold in less than 1 minute, and he made $600 just like that. And there's other coins like that. This Statue of Liberty coin, a 5-ounce, beautiful Miles Standish graded coin. This I bought for $750, and it's selling for $2,000 right now. If you have one that's a 69, they want 1,000, and I'm not even touching 69s. We send out a coin every single month to our members. It's called the Auto Saver program, and I just happened to grab one. What is this one? Washington State. It's the Orca, and you get a coin like this from every single state. Now I'm going to show you how liquid they can be, and I'm going to show you why it makes sense as a side business to flip these coins, because I've been doing it. And I wouldn't tell you about something I haven't done. I know people that are making $6,000 a month flipping these coins without reinvesting money out of their pocket. They're just reinvesting their profits, buying more coins, flipping those, and then just churning their profits up to where they're making $6,000 a month. So that is pretty cool. So to do that, I'm going to share my screen again. And I don't know if there's any questions popping up while I've been talking. I haven't been looking, but feel free to answer them if they do, Stephen.
Are you pulling up Stack and Sell?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I need to scan one of mine in actually.
Okay. So this is a website called stackandsell.com. And this is the overview marketplace. And there's a lot of coins listed. I'm going too fast for this thing to scroll through. But as you guys can see on the screens, there's any coin that is graded is eligible. There are people that are this, like here's a coin, Mexico Libertad, and someone is asking $85 for this. And the market value hasn't yet been determined, but anything that's graded can be listed. This is an MS70. It has got no 7K logo. This had nothing to do with 7K. People from all over the world are listing coins, and people from all over the world are starting to buy 7K coins because of the quality and the scarcity. And that is making a big, big difference. So you can go look for things. Let me show you one of our state animals. It was the very first one that we ever had. And we send them out every month, like I said, but this one's sold out because it was the first one and it happened last year. Here's an MS70 where my clicker is on, and let me bring it up to you. Right now, this sold last year for $139. Every one of our autosaver state animal coins, which is the best ones going right now, sell for $139. That's what you would pay as a member. Never more, never less. $139. Well, the market value of this is $1,200 right now. And there's someone here, if you look on the right side, someone's asking $1,294. This is not a bidding thing. The seller says what the least they will accept is, and if somebody wants to pay it, they would have to say, yes, I'll take it for $1,294. Now this person underquoted someone else who asked for $1,295, someone else 14, someone else 15, and someone 1675. So this 1675 is not going to sell for a while for obvious reasons. But this 1294 is only $100 more in market value. And if somebody's trying to complete a collection, they might buy that. And I'm one of them. I don't have that coin, and I'm pissed because I've been watching it, and it keeps going up. 3 weeks ago, this coin was $750. It is going nutso, and it's $1,200 in the market right now, and you'd have to pay $1,294 if you wanted to buy it. But what did that mean if you got one for $139 when it first came out? If you remember and you bought one, you didn't even have to think about it. They ship it to you every month. Look at that profit. That's insane. That's over $1,000 profit in less than a year. And percentage-wise, your return on investment is in the tens of thousands of percent. But that is really good.
How do we check the market value of coins? That's the beautiful thing about what comes along with the membership. The stack and sell comes along with it, and the stack and sell like an independent company. Just think of it like an independent auction house, so to speak, that keeps everybody honest between the buyer and the seller. And every coin you'll get from 7K Metals will actually have a barcode on it. So you can actually scan it and it'll show you what you paid for it. And it'll also show you the market value at the same time. And that's just a benefit of having a membership. Well, if you're not a member of the company, to have that membership with Stack and Sell, because now they're now opening it up to the general public around the world. And I believe it's going to put a large dent in how people buy online as far as eBay is concerned. Because what most people don't realize, 80% of the false gold and silver in the world is bought on eBay. And so this company is a way to leverage you and also to be able to give you a safe environment, because what they do, they're an independent company that once metal is purchased through them, um, they will actually verify. They have a device that'll tell you if it's pure silver, pure gold. They'll check the condition of it, and you ship your metal to them if you're the seller, and the buyer sends the funds to them. Once they verify it, then they send the coin to the buyer, and they send the funds to you. And so it's a way that you know you're getting exactly what you're paying for, but also on that site at any given time, you can see the prices you pay for it, but you'll also see what the market value of it as well. So it's like you have a running inventory, and you see how your assets are actually growing as we speak. I mean, 20, 30, 40. I mean, there are people that have over 100 and some percent return already in a year's time in their assets because of this particular deal. So I love that aspect of it. So again, that's just one of the benefits of having that membership with 7K.
I saw Colleen asked a question too about training. And I think that's really, really a good question, Colleen. The answer is absolutely, positively yes. As a member, the benefits include training. There's hours and hours and hours of videos in training. Two of the best trainings that you get is one called a buyer's certification, where it makes you an expert on gold and silver bullion in all of its forms and what's the right prices to pay, how do you liquidate, how do you move it, what do you do. It's extremely educational. Then there's another free benefit for members, which is a collector's training, which then gets you up to speed on collectibles of all forms and coins in specific. Specifically, the difference between, let's say, an MS69 and an MS70. An MS70 is perfect, and an MS69 is almost perfect. But they are different because the value in the marketplace for an MS69 is often half of what an MS70 is worth. And so if you had a choice of buying a 69 or a 70, you would want to buy the 70 because the cost is almost the same. Because the dealer will tell you, oh, it's almost perfect, but in reality, you're not going to get as much money out of it. So a well-educated member is a happy member. And there's many, many, many more trainings included. Awesome. And again, I see you just posted, what does M69 or 70 refer to? It's a grading scale that coin graders have come up with. And 70 MS, mint state, or PF, proof, 70 means no flaws, no fingerprints, no scratches, nothing, absolutely perfect as the way the mint meant it to be. 69 means there's some kind of flaw, but it's so tiny you wouldn't even probably notice it with your own eye because they use a 5 times magnifying glass. Again, this is all included in the training, so I don't want to retrain people for stuff they're going to get anyway. But since you asked, that a 69 just means it's not a 70, and a 68 means it's not a 70. A 69. 67 means it's not a 68. So if you get down to 60, it's basically almost bullion. Seriously. And when I first started collecting collectible coins, I saw somebody put something like an 1891 penny or something like that. If when I have silver dollars, I have gold pieces back from the Wild West in the 1800s, but they're MS60s. And at the time, I didn't know anything about collecting, and the people who sold them told me, said, oh, that means they're really special. Well, I go to dealers today, and they go, it's 60. This is ugly. It's bullion, basically. I'll give you the price of bullion, and it was not a good investment. A 70 goes crazy. A best way I can put it to you is if you had a Mickey Mantle baseball card and the corners are bent, you get $100 from some fan. But if corners weren't bent and it was crystal clear and everything was centered and it's graded perfect, then you could sell that through auction for like 3.6 million. So the condition is critical when you're collecting. I hope I've made that clear. And we'll teach you more and more about that. But when you're on the autosaver, you only get 70s. They only ship you MS 70s. If it's not perfect, they won't ship it. They'll send it back to the mint, and the company doesn't do that. Also, one last thing about bullion, the company only sells from inventory. So that means they're not using your money to go out and then buy something for cheaper and then keep the difference, which is what a lot of online dealers do. It's very shady practice. I've had it happen to me. Tony has had it happen to him. These people, it's unscrupulous, but this company sells from inventory. If they don't have it, they won't sell it. And by the way, their prices change. This company buys at different prices from the source, and so you get dealer direct pricing. Whatever the company paid, that's what they charge you for bullion. They do make a markup on collectibles, very slight, very modest, and they do make a markup on memberships, because the memberships is a lot of training and it's a lot of ability. It's a lot of free memberships to websites. The value is there, but there's a little profit. And so the company can pay commissions, and that is the business end if you want them. If you never do that, that's perfectly fine. You're in good shape.
Yeah, man, it's great stuff. And somebody's just asking about using their IRA. So when you use an IRA to buy these, it has to be self-directed, obviously, which Chris, I know you know about. We've talked about that. So it's just a matter of filling out the proper form, and it needs to be the right type of precious metals. So like silver eagles are allowed. They don't allow bullion, they don't allow collectibles, but those are the most popular. So yeah, we can definitely do that. And maybe we can focus the training next week about that, or maybe I'll just put together a video that we can just send out to everybody. But we'll talk about that. I'll do it one way or another some point in next week. Like I said, I got to go to Miami first thing in the morning. I'll be there this weekend, but beginning of next week, I'll put together either a video or plan out the training for this, where we take like half of this and go through buying with the self-directed IRA.
All right. And Chris, the way you hold them is through a neutral third party. You don't take possession.
Yeah.
So you would use a company like Horizon Trust or something like that to handle that. And they've been working with 7K for Steven's group. So, talk to Steven, talk to us. We'll help direct you down the path on how you can get your self-directed IRA with gold or silver eagles. And there are rules, and we'll make sure that they're followed, but that's how you do those.
All right, awesome, man. Well, I think that was really good. We're right out of time, so let's. So thanks, Scott, Tony, for being here. I just put the message over in the comment again. Just text 7K to 651-210-2288, and we'll get you. We'll chat with you on the phone for a few, answer any questions, and get you the correct membership link, and get you off and running. And please let me know if I can help you guys at all as well. And I know a lot of you will be talking with Scott. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time, and thanks for inviting us, Steven.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see you guys. Thanks, Tony. We'll see you guys next week.
Most definitely.
All right, cheers.